My name is Mike Demkavich, and I'm a Dominican who about 15 years ago had been here in St. Louis, and then now I'm living in England and working there. So I have to say I'm happy to be back in America, particularly on this day when we celebrate our independence. It was tough enough sitting through the World Cup competition between England and the United States early on. So it's good to be here. It's also maybe one of the few times when the 4th of July actually falls on a Sunday. And so bringing together both the reality of our worship, our sense of faith, with also the civic celebration that's taking place. And in the readings that we have from the Gospel here, this notion of Jesus giving a mission to us, being sent forth to do something. And so too as a nation, recognizing that the gift of independence, that sense of independence from tyranny, also is a mission. It's an independence for freedom. Something has been given to us as a people that we need to hand on. It needs to be sent forth to others as well. And so we see in Luke's Gospel this account of Jesus calling the 72. Oftentimes we think of Jesus in this tight little band of 12 apostles, and that's all there was. But here we get a glimpse of how Jesus' preaching touched the hearts and souls of so many people. And in that sense, the mission that they were given was to go to different towns where Jesus planned to visit and to share with them the story of what God's good news was about. In Luke's account, we get a wonderful image of people traveling 2 by 2, being sent off in pairs. One of the great realities of our Christian life is that it's not a solo thing. It's not this individual, autonomous thing. But Christian life for us, the message that we have, is meant to be shared, is meant to create community, is meant to call us together. And it's very interesting, the injunction that Jesus gives, the warning that he tells them. Don't take money with you. Don't take a sack. Don't wear sandals. Be free. Be free. Not beholden and dependent on these things, but allow something richer and more powerful to touch your heart, to take shape in your life and in your world. It is, too, for these disciples, this recognition and realization in the experience of going into homes and being welcomed, and the experience of peace that is given in sharing the message of Christ, that something changed them, and they were aware of a gift that's been given. In baptism, too, we were given that same gift that makes us one in Christ, that gift that transforms us and changes us and calls us to be part of other people's lives, to be able to share with them something of hope and glory and promise. It is in that sense, too, that we come to recognize that the great gift that we share isn't broadcast in great synagogues. It's here in our midst. It's in the relationships we have with one another. There, right alongside of you, is the place where the gospel takes shape, is the place where salvation unfolds, is the place where the mystery touches us deeply and calls us into something more. So as a people of faith, we come to realize and appreciate that we have been given a charge, and it is in living that we discover the incredible power of God's presence, the incredible power that changes us and transforms us. You know, it's funny because we live in an age of instant messaging and emails. I don't know if you've had this experience, but I have several friends who I think they're just on one of these forward of forward of forwards. A message comes in and they think, you know, gosh, this is really cute and this is really clever. So I get all these forwarded emails that have like a cartoon or a little story that's on there. Or I remember being out to dinner with my youngest niece one time, and she had her little mobile phone or whatever, and she's texting away, and I, you know, as uncles tend to do, you just get a little curious, and so I kind of looked over. It looked like hieroglyphics to me. They were just letters strung together, and it was all this shorthand in terms of sending a message. I think for us to recognize that the message that's been given to us isn't a forwarding, isn't something that's abbreviated, But there's a depth to the message that you and I have from the gospel. It takes shape in our lives. It begins to unfold in the very story and the fabric of who we are. It's something that's written on the hearts of each one of us and calls us into relationship. So the question that's presented to us this day is the message that's given to us. And in the first reading from the book of Isaiah, we see that the message that God has given to the people of Israel and the message given to us is this: God's bounty flows through us. The abundance of that is a great source of joy. In a world and society which can become bleak and despairing, joy is a great gift that we share. Let that take shape in your hearts and in your life. And in Paul, writing to the church at Galatia, it is this recognition of a message that was given of salvation. That message of the cross of Christ, which is great hope for us. No matter how difficult we think things are, the power of Christ crucified brings new promise, new moment to us. So our message ought to be shaped by the reality of joy and hope that is present in our lives and in our world. And so the question comes back to each one of us: what's written on your heart? What's been formed and shaped within the very soul of your being? You know, we tend to be superficial in American culture and society. It's easy to go in passing by one another and never really take the moment to dwell in the inner chambers of another person, to come to know one another. John Cardinal Newman, who in September will be beatified, had a wonderful expression which inspired the Newman movement, which is the ministry at universities. It was cor ad cor loquitur, heart speaking to heart. It makes us aware that in order for us to be sent, there has to be something within us to give. The old medieval axiom that says you cannot give what you do not have holds true. And so in this sense, the gospel challenges us not only as Christians, but as Americans, to be genuine and authentic, to discover that sense of integrity and honesty that rings true to the very reality of who we are. All of us know how we can easily be done in by false prophets, by people who are superficial and seem attractively engaging, but on closer scrutiny, there's just no there. For us, this message that has been given, this gift that has been given, is a lifelong journey, and we discover it not on the things that are out there, but within. The journey into our hearts, the journey into our soul, the journey into that inner life that makes us one in Christ is the greatest gift we can give to each other, and most importantly, the greatest gift we can give to even ourselves. To know who we truly are is the great gift of wisdom in our lives. To take the time in prayer, on retreats, in reflection, to look within and discover the great wealth that God has planted within you. There a mystery is unfolding which is so powerful, so poignant, so meaningful, that the rest of the world needs to hear it. Parents to children, spouses to one another, co-workers to co-workers, neighbor to enemy. The message has been given to us to share and to send out to others in our world. It is, you see, in movements like the new monasticism, a discovery on the part of young people who know that the trappings of religion mean that there's something more beneath the surface and a desire to discover that in the very heart of their lives. And for us as we grow older, to realize that the catechism that we were taught has actually meaning underneath the words that change us and call us to genuinely love and care for one another. The message is written not in the pages of this gospel, but it's in your heart. hear that gospel and allow that gospel to be the word that breathes life in our world. For there is true joy. There is real hope.